Thought we'd just start with that Giants play-by-play because the Giants won yesterday, thus improving your draft prospects. Mazz, your thoughts?
Okay, so when that happened, I went, oh, this is big. This is a big development for the Patriots. Now they're going to move ahead of the Giants. They're going to end up potentially with they have a shot at the first or second pick now. It's in play. And then the whole day played out. It all shook out. And I, sort of looked at the standings again and realized they're exactly where they started. They're still in the number 3 spot, which I think might be the worst spot.
Why?
Because you're not guaranteed of getting one of those 2 quarterbacks. And again, it's Caleb Williams and Drake May. So they'll, in all probability, go 1-2, which means if you're third, you could argue you might as well be 5th. So I heard that and said, it's going to be tough to get into those top 2 spots. If you're not going to get in there in a week like this week, I don't know if you can get in there. I don't know if the Patriots are going to suck enough over the rest of the way where you say they can crack the top 2. So I went and even looked at Carolina's schedule. Carolina has I would call 2 or 3 winnable games, period. So they're going to end up with no more than 4 wins. And that's if they win all those. So the Patriots are already at 2. Obviously, they have the Giants on the schedule. I think they got a couple of winnable games in there. I don't think they can crack the top 2. I might be wrong, but I don't think they can get there.
But even if they don't, see, this is where I don't necessarily think it could be a bad thing, because if you've watched Kyler Murray since he's been back, because number 2 right now picking would be Arizona, right?
Yes.
I don't think it's a lock that they're going to move on from him. I really don't, because he looks like he's just fine after that ACL injury. And so that number 1 pick, even though it's Carolina's, it belongs to Chicago. Do we know for sure they're going to move on from Justin Fields? Because he looked awesome yesterday, too. I don't. They're probably going to end up taking a quarterback, but even if they end up at 3, the Patriots, a quarterback still might fall to them.
So Chicago has Carolina's pick, right? So, I suppose that's true, Murray. I think they're going to get rid of Fields. I'm just giving it. I don't think there's any shot. In your scenario, there's no quarterback taken in the first 2. Right?
Yeah, but look, Chicago's going to take one. I think Arizona's a legitimate question. I don't think it's a lock they're going to move on from Kyler Murray.
I think they're both going to take quarterbacks because they're too good to pass up.
Do you even want those quarterbacks?
I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, I don't know.
Do you even want those quarterbacks, Murray?
I'd take Drake May.
What'd you see from Caleb Williams over the weekend?
Oh, something else that popped up with him having a terrible attitude that shows me he would not be able to hack it in a city like this or New York or anywhere where people legitimately care about sports and it's all they talk about 24/7. He lost again. USC lost to UCLA, who blows. Another game that they probably should have won. And hey, what do you know? He refused to speak to the media afterwards. I just think you now have a big enough track record over the last few months of baby behavior, lack of professionalism. I think it might have been Ian Rappaport yesterday that tweeted, and I thought it was a good point. When something goes wrong or you're having a difficulty in your career as a pro athlete, I think it shows a lot when you face the music. Case in point, he pointed out Joe Burrow, whose season is over after this hand injury, got up there, talked about it the next day. Yeah, it sucks, but talked to the media and told everyone what was going on. Caleb Williams, you need to do the same thing. This is going to happen in the NFL. You might be able to skate and avoid these kind of pressures at the collegiate level. No shot in the NFL. I want no part of this kid. I don't care what the talent level is. This is going to be Jamarcus Russell or Ryan Leaf all over again.
This is now 3 things with Williams that make you look at him and say, this kid's sensitive.
Can I have help with the third? So, obviously, he cried into his mother's lap.
Yeah, and the one before that where he said, lions don't worry about lambs.
After they got throttled by Notre Dame, and Notre Dame fans were mocking him and, making fun of him for having his fingernails painted before games. It's a thing that his mother does. She's an esthetician. I have no problem with that. It's how he's handled losses. He's come off as a gigantic baby.
So that's my thing, too. The lions, not lambs comment plays into the same sort of thing.
Yep.
That I'm not even going to dignify the remark. Whereas what he should have said is, yeah, they were having some fun. They beat us. We'll get them back. There's something. It gets under his skin. This stuff gets under his skin. The taunting, the going crying to mommy. Yep. Now he doesn't want to talk to the media.
So if you had the first overall pick, what would you do, Mazz?
I would take Williams.
You would?
Yeah. Look, again, I've told you, I've waffled on this, admittedly. I don't think he can pass it up because the talent is so great. You have to take him. You have to take him. But would I feel good about it? No, I wouldn't. Like if you let him, if you don't take him, and then he turns into some sort of superstar, that's worse. That's worse.
But if you take him and he's a massive failure because he can't deal with the media and he can't deal with the pressures, you look like a complete ass clown, especially if Drake May becomes something.
Okay, so
I go with the safer bet. I know it's a big risk for any GM that has to make that decision. I go with the safer bet. I'm going with a guy that hasn't been proven to be a gigantic baby.
So you know what? Like if you paint that scenario, when you say, Mike, I misinterpreted the question. Like I sort of have it in my head that he's the consensus number one.
No, you're the Patriots. You get the first overall pick. You're the GM of the Patriots. Do you take Caleb Williams?
Today, I would lean Drake May. I would lean Drake May. I mean, I would. But again, I acknowledge that Williams' ability is better. May had a big touchdown pass that people were raving about. I actually saw it live over the weekend. He was kind of rolling out to his right, falling backwards, and threw the ball into the corner of the end zone. It was a nice-looking play. I just think in the NFL, that play's irrelevant. You're going to get killed on that play. It's just not going to happen. It's hard to project what's going to carry over into the league. Right now, I would lean May.
Murray, what do you do?
Which is why I say, by the way, top two. I'm sorry, Mike.
No, I'm sorry.
Top two, you got to get into the top two.
You almost want the second pick is what you're
almost.
saying.
Yeah, it makes the decision for you.
Murray, what do you do?
I take Drake May. I want
At number one overall.
Yep. I want no part of Caleb Williams.
Well, why wouldn't you trade down and get something and then trade,
Oh, sure.
pull a Danny Ainge.
Yeah, I mean, really, so maybe that's what it is. You trade down a few so that you assure yourself Marvin Harrison Jr. and then take a quarterback at the top of the second, like maybe the kid from LSU, Michigan, something like that.
Oh, no. Okay, well, there's that. Well, why not just trading down from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 and get the guy you want anyway?
Then I'm for that.
That's why, the Jason Tatum.
I can't
Ainge
stress
move,
this
yeah.
enough.
Like you said.
I am so out on Caleb Williams. The behavior's terrible. The dad comes off like LeVar Ball, again, with that first thing, too. Like, we want equity in any team that's going to draft us. Or maybe my son's going to go back in college if we don't like the team that's going to be number one. Get out of my face with this.
I mean, that kid screams wuss bag.
The whole thing about not talking is, it reflects on him like he can't face the music. But, the piece that I don't think enough people focus on is, what a bad teammate that is.
Exactly.
So I presume he's a team captain. I mean, he's the quarterback. He won the Heisman. I'm going to assume he's a team captain. USC, UCLA, in that bubble, in that space out there, is a big game. You lose to your crosstown rival. You're going to have to answer some questions. The few people that care about it, the few media people that are there, they're going to ask about it, are going to ask about it. And you just sort of leave your teammates there to answer for the loss? When you're the captain, you're the Heisman winner, you're the guy. And it's like, no, talk to that. Like, that's such a bad look. That, to me, is a piece that I know, enough people sort of put stock in. You're there as the captain and leader to take the bullets for everybody else. And he's not willing to do it. It's a bad sign. I'm with you. This is why it sucks to suck. This is why it sucks to be that team. Because now you're at the mercy of some super talented kid who may or may not get it. And if he doesn't get it, but you have to draft him, now you're sitting there just waiting and hoping that this kid grows up or gets an attitude adjustment or something. And if he doesn't, you are at the mercy of some putz. And now you're waiting for some child to grow up. Oh, it sucks to be in this spot. Sucks.
Oh, it's horrible. Again, like I don't dispute the ability. The more I think about it, I would take Drake May and I'd trade for another guy. Like or draft one in, the third or fourth round. Like do what Washington did when they got Robert Griffin III. I would do that sort of thing because I think you're better off getting a couple of guys, hedging your bets, even having them compete in camp, and take it. So Drake May and trade for player X, or take another one in the third round, fourth round, whatever, something like that. Then hitch all my wagons to this kid who's now cried 3 times. 3 times.
Okay, so maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves because who knows what the Pats are even going to be down the stretch. What do you think they're going to be down the stretch? My guess is, and I've been saying this all year, I've been wrong all year, that they're going to play themselves out of the top of the draft. That just at some point they're going to keep, not at some point, at every point they're going to keep trying. And eventually they're going to win a couple of games at least and pull themselves, closer to the middle of the league, and this is going to be a moot point.
They're at what, 2 wins right now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is what I think they finish with.
2?
Yeah.
That's it?
They're garbage. They're garbage. I think now they're going to probably lose against the Giants. And the rest of the slate, who they're going to beat? Maybe the Jets. Okay, so 3 wins. Maybe the Jets at the end of the season.
So I say 4 or 5. But when you go through their schedule, games that you thought were wins now look more like losses.
Well, what does this week look like? What's the line this week?
This, to me,
I think the Patriots actually favored by like 3.5.
I was going to say this one to me is like a coin flip.
It's in New York, right?
It is, yeah.
I like the Patriots in this game because I just think the Giants are a mess. I do. I think that they are a mess and that it's going to end there for Dayball too. But I think the Chargers is a loss for the Patriots now. I think at Pittsburgh is a loss. I think at Denver is a loss. Like those teams are all decent.
Yeah, Patriots are a 3.5 point favorite, according to DraftKings.